Hey everyone, Chaos Giga here, and welcome to episode 6 of the 1.16 Survival Series. Today's episode is going to be about building some basic farms. So, for example, the cow crusher, and hopefully, well, a beginning wool farm, actually, because come to find out, my villager breeder is not working. Yeah, it's not working. I've had to kill 2 regular villagers. A villager that refused to leave the farmer's position. I have no idea why. I destroyed all the composters and he still held on to his position. I'm guessing it's because of my pumpkin farm. I have no idea. So if anybody has any suggestions on why, please let me know in the comments down below. Otherwise, we're going to go check and oh look, we got another golem. We're going to go check on the breeder and see if it has done anything yet, but I very much doubt it. I've left it with 1 villager that is attracted to the farmer, but for some reason is still not like making babies. As you can see, I've already got 2 extra villagers out here, and that's because I've made another bed and placed it out here. So I got 2 baby villagers that have already grown up. So it seems like Mahjong has fixed the game to where you no longer need breeders. You just need a village and just need to lay beds down. As long as you have a farmer in your village, it seems like they're just going to breed like there's no tomorrow as long as you place all the beds that you have down somewhere. Because as long as there's beds in place, they seem to breed like crazy. But the breeder, for some reason, even with 4 beds, or at least 3 available beds, 2 available beds even, is still not working. I have no idea why. Because they get red hearts, except for like the last time that they try, the one down here decides, no, I'm not willing. See? I don't get it. I don't understand. So if anybody knows anything about this, please let me know. Otherwise, let's go down here and look, but you will see that I have got a lot of potatoes. So it still works for harvesting the potatoes, but we are not getting any baby villagers at all. Look at this. That's only after like maybe 2 hours of gameplay in here, because I still need to farm for some diamonds. But at any rate, so you guys know, I got these leads by killing the first trader that was probably in the last video. I just went ahead and killed him and his llamas, and I got his head and I got some leads, obviously. So that's how you get the leads. And all of these guys that are when they congregate around this, now they don't need a workstation block in order to spawn in one of these iron golems. So we can have a lot of iron golems just protecting our village now, which is awesome. So I don't think we're going to have any problems with just having villagers breed in the village anymore. Because look at this. It's crazy. They're already trying to breed out here, and I don't even have any more beds. So I wonder if that's going to work. Let's see if they make a villager. It's going to make me so mad. Okay, so I'm wondering if the only reason why they're failing right now is because they've run out of beds for them to use. And I'm thinking that's what Mahjong has fixed. So basically the beds limits you on how many villagers you can have in your village. And if that's the case, the villager breeders aren't going to work unless you have an ungodly amount of beds. But basically I'm going to open this fence gate here, and I'm going to capture me one sheep and 2 cows. Why 2 cows? Because that's what I need for the cow crusher. I think I'm going to go ahead and go sleep, and then we'll go off and start finding the sheep and the cows. And I think that farmer's going back in my house again. This guy just won't stay out of my house. I'm starting to feel threatened. You know, I wish leads would actually work on villagers. That would help quite a bit. Well, at least you close your door. That is a plus. Alright. Let's head out here. I know there's a lot of sheep, so I only need 1 though, because once we get some quartz from the nether, once I get that far, I need to find some diamonds so I can get a diamond pickaxe going. I figure instead of wasting the wheat on anything, trying to get it to come with me to pins, I'll just use these leads, because leads are actually very easy to get. Early game, if you still have the traders turned on, that is. If you don't, then the only way to make it is to use slime balls and string. Aha, you're trapped. Nowhere to go. Okay, there's another trick that we can do as well, which is to basically tie them off onto a fence post. But we don't really want to do that right now. Okay, before I go anywhere, I need to get me some potatoes cooked up, I think, and get this built before we even go to get the cows, because I can get 2 cows at one time, then bring them over here and put them into the thing that we're going to build. So this is going to be the cow crusher. Alright, so to begin, I went ahead and cleared off a spot here just beside the fields that I've got built, and basically, eventually, I plan on building a building around this, because lightning can strike your cows and kill them. I didn't know that until I was playing on one of my brother's realms, realm worlds, and it happened. So be warned, the cow crusher, they can die by getting struck by lightning. So I strongly suggest that you build a barn or something around it, which I do plan on doing in the future. I do plan on building a barn around it. But it's really simple build. It only requires 1 chest, 1 hopper, some sort of solid block, a fence post, and a cobblestone or like block stair, so that way you can put it over the chest and still open the chest and be able to get the items out of it. So the first things first, what we're going to do is we're going to dig a hole. Oh, you also need a bucket of water. I forgot about the water. Don't know why I forgot about the water, but I did. Dig down a little bit here. Okay, we're going to place the chest here. Hopper into the back of the chest. And now we're just going to put these blocks like so all around it. Now we need the step as well. You might actually need 2 fence posts, but you can use a solid block and then the fence post in order to cap this off once you get the cows in there. So first thing is first. Let's see if I can't do this on the first try. I'm going to try. Yep, got it. Perfect. First try. So proud of myself. Alright, so the reason why they need the stair there is so you can still open the chest and be able to get all the stuff out of it. Now the bucket of water gets poured right here. And I usually just build around it like this. And then we're going to put 4 more blocks around it like that. And then just build a little bit of a space around it so that way you can get the cows to jump up in there. And don't fall down in here, because the only way you're getting out is you're going to have to break one of the blocks. So that's why we have the fence post on top, as well as also to basically crush the cows once they reach that 24 marker. So that's exactly what's going to happen, is when we get 24 cattle in there, and they breed pretty fast. Like every 5 minutes you'll reset and be able to keep feeding them wheat until it's full. And it does not take very long. It usually takes about maybe 3 to 4 in-game days, and then you'll start to get this to where it's just about full enough to start killing the cows and getting leather and steaks down below. And that's one of the great things about this farm as an early game farm, is that you can use it to do just that. Get steaks early game, and yeah, it's very useful. I'm not sure if this worked for pigs. I would assume it probably would. It could probably work for sheep as well, but cows, steak is just one of those things that just it heals the player by 3, or at least the satiety by 3, and then it will you know what, let's grab the other one too. There's 2 of them here. There we go. Sorry if you can hear the siren in the background. I'm really close to a state trooper outpost here in my state, so. But now we're going to pull these guys over into that. And be mindful. If you go too fast, you will break the leads, and you'll have to go pick up the leads and recapture them again. It's one of the things I hate a lot about trying to pull animals to where you want them to go. be even worse when you're on a horse, though. So that's the thing. Let's try to pull them over this block here. They're both trying to hop up on it, I think, at the same time. Oh, I fell in. Not good. We can just pull them around to the side here. This is kind of the hardest part, it's just trying to get them to go in there. But once you do, it's, yeah, just like that. You can drop its lead, try to pull this right here in there, and boom! That was actually rather quick. There, just right click on them, use click, whatever, again. Put the fence post down like that, and it's all done. Now all we got to do is just go and get some wheat and start feeding them. And the leads will be right down in the chest below, so you'll still get those back as well, which is great. So I'm going to go grab a bunch of wheat, and I'll be right back over here to show you how this basically works. Alright, so after farming my little sheep over here in the fenced-in area for a little while, got my wheat, which I need to harvest my wheat and potatoes almost again, it seems. We'll come over here, and I've already done this once, just forgot to record myself doing it, don't know why. But you just keep feeding them, and they keep breeding, and they'll keep making little guys, and then eventually you'll get enough in here where you can just weave back and forth, and they'll be full-grown cows. But once they reach the 24 limit in here, it will kill off the adult cows and let the babies take over. And you just keep doing that every single 5 minutes, and you'll get a lot of leather and stuff in here. So that's basically the gist of this farm. But I do highly recommend that you build a building around this so that they don't get struck by lightning, and also so in case you're followed by a creeper, hopefully you'll have a doorway to get through, and also the noise. In a server, the noise is going to be annoying after some point in time, but if you put a building around it, the noise I find is more deafened, especially if you use concrete. Just saying that. Now, the next thing on my list to do for now, well, you guys have to wait for me to get some diamonds so I can get a diamond pickaxe, so we can go to the nether. I plan on doing that in the next episode, by the way, if anyone's wondering. It's going to the nether so I can get some quartz. But the rest of this episode, we're going to focus on building a building and placing down a whole bunch of beds so we can get more villagers, because they are breeding way better up here than my villager breeder is, and I think that villager breeder is just broken. I don't know what's wrong with it, but I've built it exactly to the specs that I have been in all of my worlds and realms since 1.15.2, and it's always worked, but now it just won't work. And I've actually had to kill 2 villagers and a farmer villager and all that stuff to see what's going on, and it seems like they are spawning or just breeding out here so much easier than they are in it, because they're not breeding at all in it. But we'll check on it again to make sure before I start on this project. But I'll come back once I've got all my stuff out that I think I will need to build some sort of building to put 10 beds in, because we've got 10 beds. And if that works, I may just not even make breeders anymore. I just make something to where a farmer will farm and harvest crops for me, because that is actually a good thing to have when you are trying to make emeralds at the start. Okay, so we terraformed a little bit here next to the house. I'm gonna even out the land a little bit here, and then we're just gonna build a building right here next to my house, which I'm gonna place a whole bunch of beds in. Well, at least 10 beds in. We'll see what happens after I do that, though, because I'm really curious to see if that's what's going on, and that's what Mojang has done, and just they've changed the mechanics on breeding, period. So this is just going to be a generic building, really, with some logs on the corners, and then perhaps just a door and all the beds. So I'm just going to go ahead and build this thing, and I'll come back, or at least get a layout for it, and then I'll come back and show you my progress. Okay, so far I've got the layout design in mind here, and it's going to be a 9 by 12. So it's 9 wide and 12 long. I'm going to make the floor out of cobblestone and place some jack-o'-lanterns in the floor for some light. I got to space that out real quick, and then once I've spaced out the jack-o'-lanterns, I'll do the floor and start building in the walls. Not exactly sure, but I think this is going to work. I don't know. It's just right now it's just making me mad that the villager breeder is just not working the way I'd like it to. I mean, it's making me some crops, which is good, but at the same time, I really wish that Mojang wouldn't have messed with that, because then I can make sure my villagers are well protected. But at the same time, I understand why they would do something like that, to change those mechanics, because now it makes it to where we don't have to waste time building a villager breeder each time, I suppose. That we go in and make a new world or a new realm, new world in a server, something like that, you know. And there's just so many people making different versions of that, so each time. Okay, so now we're just gonna swap out these jack-o'-lanterns for some glass here. So we have some window. We're gonna make this kind of like their little huts that they have down there. Go ahead and add another block on top of this. I'm gonna have 10 beds in here, so nothing else but beds. So we'll see if that will actually make it to where the villagers start breeding a lot more out here, which I have a feeling it's going to. I'm gonna put the doors on this side right here. So right there where that dirt's raised up there. I think we're just gonna have a double door, and that's it, because there's a double door down on that building over there, and it seems to work out just fine. So okay, and they just do single windows, don't they? Yeah. So let's just do single windows on the front here. I just really don't want to waste all my glass, because I've already used enough on most of the other builds. Plus I had to reuse some on the breeder itself, just to see if I could get them to actually breed, which didn't even help at all. So I've never had it to where the breeder doesn't work. I mean, this is the first world I've built where the breeder that I've built doesn't work, and it usually works right off the bat. It may take some time, but it always worked, so I don't understand. Let's see. I think for the roof, I'm just gonna do a generic roof, because this is basically just a serious test right now of what's going to happen. So I think what we're going to do is we're just going to make a generic roof out of like bottom slabs, because all the villagers that do take this as their home, I'm going to be capturing them so I can use them in my farm builds in the future. So alright, so while I'm working on making the beds and making some slabs, I'm just going to go ahead and cut and come back whenever I've got all that done, and we'll see what happens. Okay, we're all finished with the build here. Let's check the light levels before we start placing the beds down, but I think our light level is going to be good. I don't think we're going to have any problems with it. We'll walk around the perimeter here and then walk through the center. Yeah, nothing below 10. That's perfect. So now we just need to place all the beds down, and we're just going to see what happens with all the villagers out there. I think this is going to increase their ability to breed in the village itself, though. So that's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, so one more. Alright, there we go. they're all placed. So let's go check on the villagers up here, because they seem to always meet up here at the evening, just before the sun falls down. I'm gonna have to build some way up there so the golems at the spawn up there on the roof can come down. Okay, so nobody bred this time, but I think we'll let them try again tomorrow. I'm actually going to check the breeder too, since we've been away from it for a while as well. There is still absolutely 0 baby villagers coming out of this thing. The good news is, though, we are still getting a lot of potatoes out of it, so we can still use those later on to trade the farmers out here, which is a very good thing. So we're going to go back up here. I was watching the villagers up here. They were not attempting to breed yet, but I think they have to do so much of harvesting and stuff for their jobs before they will actually start to do anything. If we see a baby villager up here, though, I'm going to be ecstatic, because that means that is how it's going to work now. We just have to find a village, build several beds, and then just make a building around those beds. And then all we'll have to worry about doing is protecting all of our villagers until we get a chance to basically make our builds with the villager that are requiring villagers. So, and I guess that's the farmer there for these plots, but I don't have 4 composters out here. I don't understand how I can have 4 farmers and 3 composters. It makes absolutely no sense to me. I've been trying to figure that out since I got over here. But I'm just gonna let this go for a little while, and I'll come back if there's good news or bad news after watching all these villagers for a while. I'm also gonna feed my cattle while I'm at it. Might as well do that. Alright, here we are. They're trying. And no. See, I'm wondering if they've changed the willingness mechanics too, because I have no idea what's going on. But it seems like baby villagers were a thing that was happening quite often out here, and then all of a sudden, nothing. So maybe I have to build more beds and put them inside the houses? I have no idea what's going on. I don't know. Alright, so I literally just placed 2 beds out here in between my house and all the villager houses. I'm wondering if my building has been built outside of the village, like what the game considers the village. My brother was just telling me about that. It's what he thinks is going on. So we're going to try that. He said to place 2 beds in the middle, or what seems like the center of the village. And if we get baby villagers, that's what the problem is. So what I'll have to do is just tear all that down, terraform this area right here, and just build that little building right in the middle here and place all those beds in there, and then we should get lots of villagers. But according to him, it seems like he's having the same issue, and the way he solved it was he placed a building in the center with a bunch of beds, and then all the villagers in the village began to breed, especially when you started trading with them. And I've been trading with my villagers some potatoes and some wheat. At the same time, we've been breeding our cows too every 5 minutes or so. As you can see, we're already getting up there on our cattle. So we're starting to get some. Eventually I'll get about up to 24 and above, and then they'll start to rub up against this fence post and get some leather and some steaks. And once I start getting steaks, I will show you guys my design for a slow cooker, or a cooking method, which can cook the steaks real quick while you're off doing something else here in the village or nearby in your single player world. It's also very useful in Realms too. If you got a big house and you just want that stuff to cook while you're doing something else, you can deal with that then as well. Okay. So for the last few minutes here, I'm just going to wait and see if we get some baby villagers, and I'll come back if I do, and if I don't, I'll come back with some something else. Success! That is exactly what it is. So I need to rebuild this building. I need to completely tear it down and rebuild it right here in the center of town. Because I just watched them. These two farmers right here, like instantly, as soon as the sun started to go down, came over here and then they bred successfully. So that's exactly what it is. That building, I just built it just outside of the reach of the what's considered the village. So now I have to rebuild it in this area here, and we should have successful breeding attempts from the villagers within the village. So I guess the villager breeder is just not a thing that you can build anymore, but obviously they still auto harvest the crops. Again, like I said throughout this entire video, if anybody knows anything that I don't, please let me know. But that is basically Impulse SV's villager breeder, and it's never failed me until just recently since the update of the game. So I have no idea why, because from 1.14 on up, it has always worked as far as I'm aware. I mean, I've never had issues with it until now. So I'm guessing that it has something to do with the 1.16 mechanics of the beds and the ability for the villagers to breed. So there must have been something changed within those aspects to make it to where the breeder does not work anymore. And the breeder is built just outside the village perimeter. I did check that to make sure, because you are given the number of blocks it has to be outside in order for it to be considered outside of the village. And I've placed beds down here and opened this gate, or got rid of this gate and placed a whole bunch of beds down here. I've placed more beds up in here and it still would not work. So I don't know why, but I guess they fixed it to where this just doesn't work. So that's going to be it, guys, for this episode. In the next episode, I plan on at least having my diamond pickaxe by the next episode. Hopefully I will find some diamonds. I need to do some more mining. But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to remove that building from over where I placed it and place it in its new home, which will be in the center of the village. So that way we can definitely get some more villagers. Basically just by using the village, which is kind of funny because it didn't used to be that we could do that, or we could, but I mean it was just a pain because you couldn't keep your villagers safe. But since they don't have to have a job to spawn in these guys now, I think it's going to make it to where it's worthwhile just to do this up here, and then I can just make an iron farm once I get enough of the regular villagers, which we do have 3 regular villagers now with no jobs. So that should make it a lot easier to make the iron farm later on. So that's definitely a thing to look forward to as well. But I need quartz for that, so I need quartz for the observer blocks. We need to work on getting to the nether. So look forward to the nether in the next episode. If you guys are liking these episodes, please leave a like. Consider subscribing. I plan on doing a lot more bigger projects whenever I get done with having enough villagers out here to start making my villager things. And that's basically what you guys do all the time, isn't it? I'll catch you guys in the next episode.